listening to the Ditch the Budget podcast, and I am your host, Heidi Rumore. I'm a wife, a mom of 2 young boys, and I've spent the last 17 years in financial services as a licensed financial planner, insurance specialist, and debt crusher. My goal is to show you that there's more to life than counting calories and paying bills, and that you truly can get out of debt and build wealth without the restrictive budgets and complicated spreadsheets. So if you're ready to reduce your financial stress and truly live the life of your dreams, then tune in and let's do this. Everybody, welcome back. I have a very exciting topic to talk to you all about, and that's around emotional spending. I think we've all heard of emotional eating, and we kind of know a little bit about what that is. But I thought today I would talk to you about emotional spending because it's often a topic that we don't hear much about. We don't really talk about it. And you might not even be aware that you are an emotional spender. So first of all, before we get into that, I want to just really quickly let you know that the doors are open for my Fix Your Finances course. This is a 6-week self-paced course that's really designed to help increase your cash flow, pay off your debt, and just really get you in a very good spending mindset, saving mindset. We talk about all things investing and saving and protection in terms of using insurance. We also get into the root cause of maybe some of your money problems, because once we pay off the debt, the last thing we want is for it to come back. So we get really to the root cause of your spending. And then we also, a big component of it is our money mindset, that for most people are very surprised is formed by the age of 7. So if you're interested in that, just check out, I will leave a link for it in this video. And if you're listening to the podcast, it will be in the show notes. So I am really excited to talk to you about this. Emotional spending is something that I'm guilty of. I'm sure some of you may also be guilty of it. And I like to think of it in terms of, you know, if you've ever had a package arrive, maybe from Amazon, you know, dreaded Amazon, and you're like, what the heck did I buy, right? I can't remember what's in that package. Or you maybe are in a situation where you're just mindlessly scrolling Facebook and Instagram, and up pops an advertisement for something that you probably don't need, let's be real, and you end up buying it, right? So all of that is fueled by emotion. You could be spending and not even being aware of it, right? It's this whole notion of unconscious spending, and that's definitely a topic I talk about a lot inside my Fix Your Finances course. So what can you do about it, right? I think there are 3 key ways to kind of get over, if you can. Okay, actually, this is a really good point. Because I almost just said get over emotional spending. So it's very similar to emotional eating. I don't think I'll ever truthfully get over emotional eating. But what I can do is change my behavior, right? I can find different tools to help me change that behavior. The same is true with emotional spending. I don't think I'll ever get over that tendency to spend emotionally, especially because of my money mindset. My money mindset is a justifier. So I can pretty much justify any purchase possible, which makes it very difficult coupled with being an emotional spender, right? So I can't necessarily remove the emotion a lot of the time, but what I can do is change my behavior towards it. And that's really what I want to share with you all today, is how I kind of go through that process. And this is really a lifelong skill. It will hinder me the same way emotional eating has. And those things kind of come up, those triggers can kind of come up from really anywhere. And I want to really emphasize that it's not the emotion we're trying to fix. We're just trying to change our behavioral response to it. Okay, so what are the 3 things that you can do to help you curb your emotional spending? Well, the first thing you need to do is reflect. So you need to reflect on the emotion that you're feeling when you are spending your money, especially if it's not, and I'm not talking about going to the grocery store and spending money, unless you find that there's a money leak there. So maybe we do need to reflect a little bit on that spending. But if you find that you are overspending, let's say on Amazon or in Costco, or I don't know, online shopping is probably a big one for a lot of people right now because we're home. We have, I guess, the time to do so. We're just on our devices more. So I definitely think you need to reflect on when is that window of time most likely to happen. So what's the time frame? So for me, I know my trigger, my spending, emotional spending trigger is later on at night when I'm finished work and I'm scrolling Facebook and Instagram. That for me tends to be a time where I'll think of something and it's like, oh yeah, I should get that on Amazon. Oh, somebody recommended a book. Oh, I'll head over to Amazon and I'll buy it right now, right? It goes into my cart, click, spot. So I have to be really aware of that. And usually for me, my emotional spending, when I reflect on it, it's not a typical emotion that you might think of when you think of emotional eating. So for some people, for me, for example, my emotional eating, when I reflect on that, it's usually when I'm overwhelmed. When I'm feeling overwhelmed, when I'm feeling stressed, that's when I tend to reach for something that's not healthy for me, usually jubes. That's my candy of choice. So I can really clearly identify that emotion. Now, with spending, it might not be as cut and dry as that. Like, was I feeling overwhelmed in that moment? Probably not, but feeling a little bit like, oh, fear of missing out. That's an emotion. This impatience around our spending too is an emotion, right? So it's understanding your emotional response and really taking that time to reflect on when you do that and what the emotion is. For some of you, your emotional spending might be to celebrate, right? You're celebrating something new. If there's a birthday coming up, you get really excited to do some shopping. That's an emotion. So it's not always negative emotions that, and I think that's where people go is they look at the negative emotions. It could be positive emotions too that is triggering this. So really taking that time to reflect on it is going to serve you really well. That's the first thing. The second thing is we need to remove the trigger. So we can't remove the emotion because we're going to feel all the emotions at any point in time. But what we can do is remove the trigger. So for me, I just gave you that example. If the trigger is Amazon, I need to delete Amazon from my phone and make it harder for me to make that purchase on Amazon. So maybe it's locking down that app. Maybe it's deleting that app at a certain time in the night, right? It's so easy to reinstall an app on your phone. It's literally seconds, right? So I feel like that is a really great example. If I know that I'm spending when I'm laying in bed and I'm scrolling social media, then I either need to delete my social media apps, which I highly recommend, by the way, if you find that you are an emotional scroller. Is that even a thing? Delete those social media apps. But if that's not, I run a business through social media, so that's not always possible. But what I can do is I can remove the Amazon trigger for me. I can unsubscribe from emails. That could also be an emotional trigger for you. If you are somebody that is shopping at a certain store and you end up getting on a mailing list and they're sending you 40% off coupons and that is triggering you to go and add things to your cart, well, there's a great opportunity for you to remove the trigger by unsubscribing to that email. So that's the second step, is removing that trigger. And then the final, I guess, R, there's 3 R's in here, is to replace it with something that's going to serve you in a better way that doesn't involve spending. So when you're feeling maybe that emotion, right, and you're scrolling, maybe now we're feeling that, you know what? That's a great book. I should buy that book. It's maybe just take a second and think about, well, you know what? I have a whole library. I'm looking at my bookcase right now. I've got a whole bookcase full of books that I have not read yet. So I'm going to give myself a goal to read half of those books before I'm allowed to purchase, another one. Give yourself, replace it with something, whether it's something mental or something physical. For a lot of people, if your, retail therapy is part of your makeup. For me, it's not necessarily retail therapy for me. I've never been one to go in, not that we can now anyways, but I've never been one to go into a mall and really like window shop and shop around. That's never really been my thing. I'm a in and out kind of shopper, so that makes online very, very dangerous for me because I can literally go online really quickly. I don't even have to leave my house, and so it's kind of my kryptonite. So I feel like with replacing some things. So if retail therapy is really your jam, it's maybe taking the time to go and try on some clothes that you maybe still have tags on in your closet and rethink an outfit if you're getting that need of, oh, I don't have anything to wear, right? That's an emotional response. That could actually be a trigger, your trigger. Your trigger might be getting ready for work in the morning. I feel like I have nothing to wear. So maybe you carve out some time to create new outfits in your closet. You know, I keep hearing about these capsule wardrobes. And if anybody's listening that's a capsule wardrobe specialist or stylist, I'd love to hear from you. Please send me a message because I'm just fascinated by this. And I think it's so cool that you can basically take really, really basic pieces and just make a whole bunch of different outfits from that one or a handful of items that you have in your closet. So maybe it's that. Maybe your part of your one of your spending triggers is, you know, you want to get your nails done or you want to go for a massage or a spa day. When you're feeling stressed, your retail therapy is to go and book a massage. I think that's a great idea, but if that is a money leak for you and you want to replace it with something that is a low cost or no cost option, replace that with maybe doing that spa day at home, you know? Again, if it doesn't fit in your cash flow, then we need to find a low or no cost alternative. If it does, go get the massage, right? The whole point of this podcast is to share with you that and you know, I'm live on Facebook as well. The whole point of this is to share with you that you don't need to cut everything that brings you joy out of your life, but you can think about things smarter, right? So if emotional spending or spending unconsciously is something that is really triggering you and you find that you have a money leak in this area, we've got to figure out a way to remove that trigger and replace it with something else. That could literally be if your emotional trigger spending trigger is you're feeling stressed or something and you go on your phone and you're scrolling and then next thing you know you're adding things to your Amazon cart like me, then what I need to do is maybe make a mental note of that because I've reflected on it, I'm now aware of it, remove the trigger. So I'm removing Amazon, and then when I go to try to find my Amazon app and it's not there, I can say to myself, Heidi, go get a tea, have a tea, decompress. You know, you're feeling this X emotion. Go have a tea. Go soak in the tub. You know, go kumbaya, get some essential oils and whatever, right? To just try to get yourself out of that emotional state where you feel like you need to spend. So I hope this helps. I'd love to hear from you. If you are listening to this on the podcast, take a screenshot, add it to your stories. Let me know what you think. And also, I want to hear from you. What are your emotional spending triggers? If you also suffer from Amazon Prime being a big trigger for you, I'd love to hear from you. All right, guys, we'll talk soon. Bye.